Exactly what was written.
What I'm telling you is you took a car as is.
Is he just spinning his wheels?
The car does not run. This is a fraudulent sale.
Do you understand your problem?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
This is Judge Judy. Brian Epner is suing Janine Bender and her husband Tom Uhrig for a refund for a '98 Jeep Wrangler they sold to him.
Judge, this is case number 145 on the calendar in the matter of Epner versus Bender Uhrig. Parties have been sworn in. Have a seat, sir.
Mr. Epner, I'm going to go through what I get from your complaint, and I want you to tell me if I've said anything that is incorrect, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you were in the market for a second vehicle.
Correct.
What was your first vehicle?
2018 Nissan Rogue.
And who else drove that car?
That vehicle is driven by my wife.
Do you have children?
I have two beautiful children, 13 and 9.
And she drives the car primarily for herself and with the kids?
Yes.
Was that also your family's primary vehicle?
That is my family's primary vehicle, yes.
How long has it been your family's primary vehicle?
Since 2018, 2017.
And what kind of a car did you have before that?
Before that, I had a Nissan Sentra. I also had a couple of Jeeps prior to that.
Okay, immediately prior.
Immediately prior, it was a...
immediately prior was the one your wife drove with the children.
I still have that vehicle, yes.
Yes, you were looking for a second car, and prior to that, you drove a van.
A minivan, yes.
That was the family car.
Yes, it was a Chrysler Town and Country.
Okay, and both of those cars were automatic transmission.
Correct.
Okay, now, you looked for a second car, and what you found was a 22-year-old Jeep that was owned by the two defendants.
Correct.
You went to their house, and you looked at the car, and you test drove it.
Correct. I came with a friend of mine, a coworker. Yes.
And you looked at the car, brought a friend, test drove it. Where did you test drive it?
Around the immediate area, which I had promised the...
For how long?
5 minutes, roughly.
How long did it take you to get from your home to the defendant's home?
I came from work. It was the middle of the day, so it took approximately 25 minutes.
So it took you 25 minutes also to get back with the car after you purchased it?
Correct, to my office, yes.
And you brought the Jeep back to your office?
Correct.
What's the distance between your office and your home?
I would say it's about a 15, 20...
Day of the week. Did you pick up the car from them?
I picked it up on a Thursday. It was October 1st. Did you go to work on Friday, October 2nd? I did.
Did you drive the Jeep?
No, I did not.
What car did you drive?
I carpooled with my boss, which I do most of the time.
So on the 2nd of October, you carpooled with your boss, that you remember?
Yes.
Whose name is?
Stephen.
And if I were to call Stephen, he would check his calendar and see on Friday, October 2nd, you carpooled with him.
He probably wouldn't check his calendar. We do that every day.
Then what did you need a second car for?
For the occasions once in a blue moon where we don't carpool, and also for some errands around the neighborhood for family errands.
So you carpooled with your boss, and then there was a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yes. At
some point, you're going to tell me which day, you went to put gas in the car. On what day was that?
So what happened was
No. On what day did you go to put gas in the car?
I believe it was the Saturday. So that would be the 3rd, October 3rd.
And when you went to put gas in the car, you had some difficulty, according to your complaint. And I filled the tank with gas, and then the Jeep wouldn't move. A couple of days later, you said in your complaint that you swore to, a couple of days later, I filled the tank with gas, and then the Jeep wouldn't move.
That's not what I signed. I filled the tank with gas. I drove it to my home.
You didn't say that, sir. I'm just telling you. I have your complaint that I can show you that you signed today, and it says, a couple of days later, I filled the tank with gas. Then the Jeep wouldn't move.
Yes, there was.
I ended up pushing it to a spot near my house. I'm just reading you what you wrote.
It's nuanced.
And swore to.
Correct. Yes, I swore to it. It is correct. The nuance is that there was a 5-minute period between putting in gas and going 4 blocks to my apartment complex.
Okay, so after you put in gas, the car actually drove.
It drove, yes.
It drove. We're going to get there eventually, Mr. Eppner, because what you're alleging is that they sold you a car, which they couldn't do in your state, because the car, after you had it examined by a mechanic when it stopped running, had transmission problems.
Well,
that's what you wrote here.
The car doesn't run, and the mechanic who I've brought here
Just
with
a
me
second.
Today, yes.
I don't care what the mechanic says.
Okay.
You say it has transmission problems. Is your mechanic had transmission problems?
Correct.
And from that, you conclude that the car, because it had transmission problems, couldn't pass a new smog test unless you fixed the transmission, and therefore the sale is illegal. That's what your complaint says.
Correct.
However, Mr. Eppner, this is your problem. You bought a 22-year-old car that, according to the defendants, and I have no reason to doubt them, and neither do you purchased the car on the 1st of October. In June, it had passed a smog test.
Well, that was not presented to me, and that was not, I don't know how it did
Well,
that.
then, just a second.
Okay.
Do you have proof that your car passed a smog test in June? That's what you say.
We couldn't find the receipt for that. We thought it was in the glove compartment of the Jeep.
Okay. Did you register the car?
Yes.
Yes.
What was the last day the car was registered?
June
The
2020.
car had to be smogged in order.
Right.
So when you bought the car, it had been registered.
According to the
You
ad,
bought a registered car.
According to the ad, it says the
No,
tags, and
you
according
bought-
to the conversation, it was
Mr.
registered.
Eppner, the car was registered. These two people did not sell you an unregistered car, so the car was registered.
Okay.
They said it was in June. And since they, in their state where you live, could not register a car unless it was smogged, to me, you test drove the car. You drove it for at least an hour. You drove it 25 minutes from their house to your office. You drove it then 25 minutes from your office to your home. You may have done an errand or two in between, but you drove it for at least an hour because you also took it on a test drive. And the car was running.
The car was
The
running?
car ran.
It was,
The car was running.
shifting.
And it had been smogged.
I don't know that.
And you bought it, well, I do, because you bought a registered car.
I don't
And if
have-
you didn't, and you brought a friend with you to look at the car, there is no way this car wasn't registered. You can go outside and you can check the VIN number and see when the last time that car was registered. There's no question that they had this car registered and smogged. When did you purchase this
Your
car?
Honor, if I can...
Mr. Bender? Yeah, you can do whatever you like. You bought a 22-year-old car and you drove it. And then the transmission went kaflooey. That's what happened. You drove it.
The issue, Your Honor, if you allow me for a second, I just want to mention that there's no way for me to prove that it was smogged, that it had a smog certificate. If you allow me to present from the California DMV on their website, I brought it today to show you.
No, just show me from the VIN number of your car, sir.
The VIN number of my vehicle, which is on the title, which I have.
Yeah, the VIN number.
I will replace.
Right.
Okay, the VIN number on the vehicle is JF1J4179.
Good. You bought a 22-year-old car that was running and, as far as you know, registered. Now I'm going to go back to the defendants again because I wanted to ask you this question. When did you purchase this car, this Jeep? In what year, if you remember?
I think it was 2008.
So you purchased a car when it was 10 years old?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. And you had the car exclusively, the two of you, from 2008 until the time you sold it to him?
Exactly.
Okay. With whom was the car insured?
Insure Express, which was through Western General.
Was this the only car you had?
No.
How many cars do you have?
2.
Were both cars insured by Western General?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you use both cars?
Yes.
Every day.
Can you tell me on what date you canceled the insurance on the 1998 Jeep?
It was after the sale. It was a couple weeks after Brian had taken it.
Do you understand your problem?
No, I do not, Your Honor. I understand that I bought a
Well,
vehicle,
I'm gonna-
and if you allow me to just state, I have no proof it was registered.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, I have no proof it's registered. I don't have a smog certificate. According to the California DMV, if I sell my car, do I have to get it inspected first? This is from the frequently asked questions on the California DMV website. Yes, if you are selling, sell the car. I don't have a valid smog certification. I can't get one because the car does not run. This is a fraudulent sale.
You broke it.
No, I didn't.
You broke it.
I absolutely
you
did
drove
not.
it?
Because I
You
brought,
dro- what
I
I'm
brought it
telling
to
you- no,
my
no, just
mechanic.
say-
If you allow
you
me to
bought
bring
it-
up my mechanic, who would state that
What I'm
paid
telling you is, You bought a 22-year-old car from people that you cannot disprove, unless you want me to waste my time calling their insurance company, which I guarantee you, actually, you have the telephone number of your insurance carrier on your other car. It's the same carrier as your other car, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Having insurance, I have insurance on the vehicle also. Doesn't mean it runs, smogged, registered. They don't ask for anything.
Sir, you don't insure a car and pay for insurance on a car unless it's registered, and it can't be registered unless it's been smogged in your state.
Not, Your Honor,
Do you understand?
With all due respect, I have the car. I have insurance on the vehicle. The day I bought the car.
No, you don't, sir. You only have to have insurance on a car if you're driving it. If you can't drive it because it's not registered and it's not insured because it hasn't passed smog, you don't carry or pay for insurance on it.
I did.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Mr. DeFranco, the gun at him. By the time you got out of jail, all of your stuff was over at your grandmother's house.
No, Your Honor.
Where was your stuff?
Brian Epner says Janine Bender and husband Tom Uhrig sold him a Jeep with transmission problems. He also claims it couldn't pass a smog test.
You bought a 22-year-old car.
Because I believe that it was a dependable car, which is exactly what was written on the ad, Your Honor.
Very good. Your case is dismissed. You're going to talk. What I'm telling you is you took a car, as is. I believe, based on the testimony, that these two people had the car registered and insured, which means that they had it smogged. You can't get it smogged because the transmission went, and you drove the car for at least an hour. At least, probably more.
Your Honor, that's...
We're done. We're done. We're finished. This isn't a back and forth. I've explained it to you. You don't want to accept it.
I acknowledge that I bought a 22-year-old car,
That's your problem. That's correct. We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I don't know what happened once it left our house because we drove it every day.
This is a fraudulent transaction with fraudulent people.
It was fine.
Owned it for 12 years and never had a problem.
Yeah.
Who are dishonest.
What happened? He put it in four-wheel drive to check it out.
No, it drove, and as I continued driving, And
he didn't back up. You got to take back up to take it out of the four-wheel drive.
Got a little sticky, and then it stopped.
And that's how he ruined the transmission.
Buyer beware. Don't trust people just because they seem like a nice, lovely couple.
Yeah, stand by the car. It's a sad situation, actually.
All parties in the matter of Baker versus DeFranco. Step forward.
Jason Baker is suing his former landlord, Justin DeFranco, for an illegal lockout and stolen belongings.
All right, Mr. Baker, you were living rent-free in the defendant's house. And you have two claims, that he locked you out of the house where you were living rent-free, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the time that he locked you out of the house, Mr. Baker, you had, according to you, already packed half of a U-Haul because you were moving out. Yes, that's what you wrote.
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. And then you hadn't finished moving your things. You went out for a little while. And while you were out, it is your claim that Mr. DeFranco called the police and said that you were waving a gun at him,
yes,
which was not true. And he did that because he knew you had an outstanding warrant for your arrest. So in the warrant, by the time you got out of jail, all of your stuff was over at your grandmother's house.
No, Your Honor. That's actually incorrect.
Where was your stuff?
The U-Haul was still MIA at that point. I had to call officers to the home because he had instructed his friends who were inside the home to hold possession of my two service animals.
All right, let me just read you what you wrote.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll refresh your recollection before I throw you out of here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, that was pretty stupid of you.
It was.
Well, that was pretty dumb.
100%.
You know him for a very long time.
Yes.
And you know that he has some serious issues.
Yes.
I don't know whether you have some serious issues.
I think I do.
But I know that he has some serious issues.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Baker claims former landlord Justin DeFranco had him arrested, stole his belongings, and locked him out of the house. Justin is countersuing for a totaled car, vandalism, and U-Haul charges.
12 hours later, I was released and returned home. The U-Haul was gone, and I was locked out of the house. I eventually found the boxes of my things were dropped off at my grandmother's house. But the boxes had all been opened, including my Rolex, my laptop, and my expensive shoe collection were gone. Justin also refused to release my 2 service animals. That's what you wrote.
I believe, Your Honor, that I might have miswrote some things due to the fact that I have been under some serious health conditions. I just got out of the hospital after a week's stay. I do have a heart condition. I'm not able to recollect certain things due to the fact that I do black out.
Well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, Mr. Baker. I don't like to deal with somebody who is not in tip-top shape. So I'm going to send you back to where you came from. And I'm dismissing your case without prejudice so you can go and get yourself better, and then you can cogently present your case if you're not feeling well. Do you understand?
I feel fine to continue today if we can.
Well, then, I'm going to ask you, you just signed today this sworn complaint that I read to you. There was a whole different scenario than what you just gave me. And you said you did that because you didn't feel well.
It wasn't supposed to state boxes. There was supposed to be some...
Mr. Baker, you don't have
wording
a case.
adjustments?
Mr. Baker, you don't have a case against him. You paid no rent. I don't know whether you liked each other, whether we lived each other like an old married couple, but I decided it was time to leave because we were arguing all the time. You left. Did you
ever call the police during this whole incident? Not once.
What proof do you have that he called the police, Mr. Baker?
I have no proof other than what the officer asked me at the time.
Don't tell me what the officer said to you, sir. So you have no proof that he called the police?
No, I have no proof.
Okay, very good. And you had no lease with him, and you were moving out of the house with a U-Haul, so we didn't illegally lock you out.
I actually have proof that Mr. Franco wrote a letter stating that I would be able to reside in the home rent-free upon the voucher approval from housing that I was waiting for.
Mr. Baker, you were moving out. That's what you said in your complaint. On December 5th, 2018, the rented U-Haul was partially packed. You packed it.
From the store.
But I still had belongings. You were moving out.
No, the U-Haul was packed from a storage facility. I had packed nothing from the home.
What was the U-Haul doing in front of the house?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
What was the U-Haul doing in front of the house?
Mr. DeFranco had rented the U-Haul.
For what?
Because I had to move from my storage facility.
Okay, goodbye. We're done. You and I are done. Now, since you feel well enough, we're going to... Franco.
I helped Mr. Baker out with getting him a car.
Well, that was pretty stupid of you.
It was.
Well, that was pretty dumb.
100%.
You know him for a very long time.
Yes.
And you know that he has some serious issues.
Yes.
I don't know whether you have some serious issues.
I think I do.
But I know that he has some serious issues. So why you would co-sign for a loan on a car for him, I have no idea.
Me neither.
And how old are you?
I don't know.
You don't know how old you are?
I'm 29.
29. I'm the same thing on one side. We're done. Thank you very much. Go home.
Parties are excused. They step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, an explosion of anger shakes a neighborhood.
You body Englishing her all the way back onto her property, screaming in her face. That's what I saw. Uncivilized behavior.
Judge Judy.
He wasn't like this prior to this.
The fact is, I needed help. Mr. DeFranco needed help.
He seemed normal, and he needed help.
Both of us together decided that we could help each other.
Mr. Baker is a sociopath. He is delusional, and he thinks people are stalking him.
I feel there are certain things that have been done to me by Mr. DeFranco that I was hoping to get out into the air. Stalking. I got roses yesterday, actually, after getting out of the hospital.
Yeah, he's delusional. He really is.
But his main concern was that I was here today, so I'm here.
We already got a restraining order against him, so he can't contact me.
Actually, I do kind of miss my friend.
Basically, come anywhere near me, so.
I was hoping that we could get past this, but apparently we can't.
Definitely separate ways.
I don't think there's any forgiving of this one.
You're never supposed supposed to make a decorating decision.
I've been told that many times.
A husband's design sense made no sense.
Mr. Miso said, you pick out the materials. And when his wife saw, she said it looked awful.
Now they're coming after the contractor.
I obviously made a poor decision.
Mr. Miso knows he's wrong, but you're the pro.
This is Judge Judy. Paul and Carol Miso are suing contractor John Sterling for a refund for a bar he never finished building.
Judge's case number 135 on the calendar in the matter of Miso versus Sterling. Parties have been sworn in.
Mr. and Mrs. Miso, you hired the defendant to build a bar in your home, correct? The two of you.
I'll speak initially, but Carol will add some comments.
I'm sure. And the total purchase price was $7,900.
That's correct.
And that was for labor and materials.
Yes.
On what date did you give him a first payment?
First payment was of $2,400 on November 28th, 2018.
Okay, and when was the next payment?
The next payment for $2,900 was January 15th, 2019.
When did the defendant start work on the project?
I don't know exactly the date that he started work.
Tell me what date you started work, Mr. Sterling.
It was early December. As we got materials into the shop, I think first week of December.
Okay, and Mr. Miso, how did you find the defendant?
Very pleasant. We were referred to Mr.
No, how did you find him? By reference?
I actually find him very pleasant still. We were referred to Mr. Sterling by our realtors, and they had apparently referred prior clients to him.
Had you just bought your home?
Yes. It was we had moved from another area in the neighborhood and bought a home about 5 years old, and we wanted to renovate it a little bit.
But you were already living in the home.
That is correct.
Prior to giving him, prepare a sketch or show him a photograph of what you wanted.
Yes, we did. And in fact, he prepared the sketch.
Can I see?
Well, first
may I see it, please?
As the woman steps in.
Don't just a sec. Hello? No, this is not stepping in time. Stepping in is when I ask you a question.
Okay.
Right now, all I want to see is the photograph or sketch that the defendant prepared.
So this is the entertainment center that we were attempting to match. I'll switch it.
It's a better one.
All right, so this is the photograph, Mr. Miso, of the piece of furniture that you wanted to be aligned with the bar that you wanted him to build.
Correct. It was, if I could switch the picture, you can kind of see what we were talking about. That's the same unit, and the room extends further down, and against the same wall, and beyond that little divider is where the bar was intended to be.
I see, and there is something there.
Correct. That is what's been delivered.
That's what was delivered that had not been there before.
Correct.
You'll show me another picture of that later.
Absolutely, when you ask for it.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay.
So it was supposed to match that and be complementary amount that he would be spending for materials.
I don't remember a breakdown.
As opposed to labor.
I don't remember a breakdown of that.
Did you have a breakdown, Mr. Sterling? How much for labor and how much for materials?
It wasn't all that detailed, but the initial payment was to cover materials.
So the $2,400 was to cover materials?
Yes.
And the $2,900 was your labor?
That covered a down payment on the paint and some of the shop labor to that point.
Mr. Sterling?
Yes.
Mr. Sterling, I'm going to ask you for receipts for all the materials that you purchased. I just want you to be aware of the fact I'm going to ask you for receipts from all the materials that you furnished for this project.
I understand.
I certainly hope you have them.
I don't.
Okay, good. Well, that would be a mistake. That's your business.
You're correct.
This is your business, because what happened is they want their money back. They paid you over $5,000, and they say that what you delivered was wholly inadequate. And I'm going to take a look at the pictures. If I look at the pictures and it looks to me like tacky stuff, that means you got paid $5,000 and you just increased your labor cost. So you should have bills for what you spent so that you can decipher whether or not you gave him. So now what I would like to see, because we're going to go one step further, it is your defense, and I quite understand your defense. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it. That Mr. Miso, according to you, said you pick out the materials, and you did. And when his wife saw what you had picked out, she went crazy, and she said it looked awful. And you said, I had your husband's go ahead, and he at this time is trying to find a corner to hide in because he wasn't getting in between you and his wife. And if he had to pick somebody, he was going to pick her side. It's not a hard scenario. That's why you should have the receipts for what you spent. Got it?
Correct.
You know, I've been married for a long time. I know about, well, he said I could do that. What? You know, where can I go and hide? Do you understand, Mr. Miso?
I understand.
Yes.
I do.
I know you understand. I knew you got it as soon as you walked in. Now I'm going to see a picture of this piece of furniture that he delivered.
I'd show that first.
Did you want to see the drawing first that Mr. Sterling had prepared?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I got ahead of myself. Let me see the drawing. Got it. It looks very, very much like, and it's beautiful. It's actually lovely. The bottom top fixture looks very much like a bathroom vanity. I'm just telling you. It does. I mean, it's completed, and it depends upon the finishing.
Right. So
it looks lovely. And in the middle of that, are you going to have water, or it's just going to be a dry bar?
A dry bar.
A dry bar, consistent with the other piece that you had there.
Correct.
Great. Now can I see a photograph of what he delivered?
Yes. And if I can show what
is in the other boxes?
I assume those are, we have not opened them, but we presume they are the two
wine
refrigerators.
Wine refrigerators.
Wine refrigerator and
What
a small.
are they?
They're the wine refrigerators they ordered.
Where are they supposed to go?
If you look in the original drawing, you have a center section on the lower that's storage, and the two outboard on that drawing shows you the wine refrigerators.
I'm switching back for.
So it's just the center panel that was delivered.
It was the lower section and the refrigerators so that I could get the granite guy to come in and drop a top on.
But you were going to have to build the sides once they put the
panels for the refrigerators are there. They're in the picture.
Let me see.
He's pointing to it right there. That's the side panel.
Could you put the sketch in such a way that I can look at both the sketch and what he delivered?
I have pictures of the other cabinets, too, that did not get delivered.
Side panels. What's supposed to be on side panels that's different from?
It's just it's a finished end panel that is constructed the same as the doors. So it looks basically like a door on the end of the cabinet.
Are those supposed to be drawers? They look like drawers on top that I don't see.
Yes.
Where are the drawers?
They're right there above the doors. They just don't have handles on them yet.
They just don't have handles on them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Miso.
Yes.
What is it that you didn't like about what he delivered?
It was, actually, if I can take you back to the first communication that we had, and I'll put that up, and I just need the camera to hone in on the yellow, it's simply stated, we moved into a new home, and we'd like to get a bar built that matches our entertainment center.
Forget it, Mr. Miso. My organization, I asked you a very simple question. I looked at the sketch. You had a disagreement with him, but I want to know what it is that you didn't like about what he delivered. I looked at the sketch.
Yeah, that it didn't look like this.
That's not what they asked for.
You mean it was the color? Just a second. The color is what you were objecting to. It was supposed to be a different color. Yeah. Now show me a picture of the... Don't look at her. Don't look at her, Mr. Miso. That's the problem. Do you understand that's the problem? I'm not looking at her either. What color, Mr. Miso, is the other piece that you showed him that you wanted to match?
I would call it
is that piece?
I would call it...
No, show it to me.
Oh, show it to you?
Show it to me.
There you go.
Show it to me again. No, not that piece. Is that the piece in the other room?
Yes. Sorry.
I want to see the piece in the other room.
There we go.
The photograph. The photograph. Okay, so what you're objecting to is that what he delivered was stark white, and this has a more finished, textured look. Is that what you're talking about?
A couple things. One is that it is a stark white, but it does. If you feel the wood, it's a very different. Yes.
Listen, he didn't specify the wood in your contract. You didn't have those two items. If it was to match. Oh, really? That's where we're going to happen. Mr. Miso, what color is that?
I would call that.
Think before you act.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They showed you what color they wanted. That is not white. What you delivered to them was a white. I mean, you're the pro. You're the pro.
Paul and Carol Miso say contractor John Sterling failed to deliver a finished bar they hired him to build for their family room.
Now, what color is that original piece that you wanted him to complement in the new bar?
An off-white.
What color is that?
An off-white color.
An off-white. Okay. And what color would you describe what he delivered?
White.
Okay. Now, did you ever have a conversation with him or approve a paint finish, a paint color?
I did.
Did you? I'm asking you.
I did.
And what color did you approve?
I said that it was okay to go with white.
And that's what he did.
That's correct.
That's what he did. So the customer, and I know, Mr. Miso, you will never do that again.
That is correct.
Because you can go with white. It's not an answer. Mr. Sterling.
Yes.
I'm coming back to you, sir.
Yes.
I want you to know that Mr. Miso knows he's wrong. He just had to choose between which one was going to be beheaded. But you're the pro. They showed you what color they wanted. That is not white. What you delivered to them was a white. I mean, you're the pro. You're the pro. So if you're the pro and you say, listen, do you want to match that color, or do you want to go as close to that color as we can?
The contract does not specify matching the other cabinet. The contract specifies Swiss Coffee Kelly-Moore paint. That's what the contract specifies. The contract does not specify matching another cabinet.
They showed you this cabinet, Mr. Sterling, did they not?
Yes.
I'm not asking about the contracts. I'm asking you whether they showed you this cabinet.
Yes, I saw that cabinet.
And did they not say to, just a second, did they not say to you, let's be very honest with each other, just as Mr. Miso has been honest with me today, did they not say to you that they wanted it to be a complement to this cabinet?
Complimentary, yes.
Yes. And I am a trained lawyer. I'm not a decorator. When I try to do something, they call it a decorator. But I would never put stark white as a professional next to oak. I would say, listen, before you say you can go with white, why don't you talk to the missus? Why don't I make you a paint board so that you can take a look and see what color you want? As the professional, Mr. Sterling, that's what I would do.
Well, it's what I offered to do.
And so I'm surprised. Did you?
Yeah.
Offer to do a paint board? Did you? Good for you. And is that when he said to you can go with white?
No, I offered to make samples or get things ready for them, and I said, you have things to match. We can match the existing cabinet that you have. And I don't know what that finish is. That's a bought product. I said, we have to take that down, have that color matched. You have another color here in the house.
And you were talking to Mr. Miso. You were talking to Mr. Miso.
Yes.
Okay. So. And you don't deny that you had this conversation with him? I believe him.
I did not have that conversation.
That had to be a conversation. Well, when did you tell him you can go with white?
When we were looking at, we were in the family room, living room combination there, and asked what color, and I palette to pick from. I mean,
No. I didn't, Mr. Miso, I didn't say there was a color palette to pick from. I said, he says that he told you when you were having that conversation in the living room. By the way, were you living in the house when you were having that conversation? Yes. Is there a TV in the living room?
In the family room next to it, yes.
Is that where you were having the conversation with him about the color? Mr. Miso?
Yes.
Is that where you were having the conversation in the family room?
Yes.
Was the TV on or off?
TV was off, I believe.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You see, when people ask me questions about things, you know what my response is? I'm a television personality. Speak to an expert. You're never supposed to make a decorating decision.
I've been told that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul and Carol Miso claim contractor John Sterling owes for a refund for a family room bar he never completed.
Okay, listen, you have a contract?
The color I painted that cabinet is the color of their trim in the house. That's where I came up with that color. I didn't pull that out of the air. It matches the color of the trim in their house. That's where I got the color.
But you don't do a piece of furniture to match I never saw a piece of furniture like that, a big piece of furniture that matches trim when it's on the same wall in an opening as something that you're trying to complement that is so clearly not a complementary color. Listen, you have a contract. You use the kind of paint that was in the contract. I don't think that there's a discrepancy about that. It was the color. The color is off. The bottom part of it matches the sketch that we showed. It does have 4 parts. It has drawers. He said the side panels are there. The color is off. I absolutely, completely understand why your wife is beside herself with the white color. I absolutely understand that, but that's not his fault. Mr. Miso, that's on you. That's on you. What do you do for a living?
I'm an operations manager.
You see, when people ask me questions about things, you know, they'll say, what do you think about whether we should use this material for the pool or use this material for the sliding glass doors? You know what my response is? I'm a television personality. I have no idea about that. Speak to an expert. You're never supposed to make a decorating decision.
I've been told that many times.
So, but you can't blame Mr. Sterling for that. And you can't, even though he doesn't have all the receipts, he did, in fact, buy what he was supposed to buy, the cooling equipment and whatever, the refrigerator, and it's all there. He did, in fact, deliver the center part. Who stopped the work? Did you tell him to stop the work?
Carol asked me not to come back till she discussed things with her husband.
Yes.
Okay, well, now just a second. So right now, he will complete this bar for you, and you have to pay him the balance of the $7,900. If you don't have, because he seems like a very nice man, and his responses to me were totally consistent with a reasonable contractor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, now, in this case, it's the customer's problem. It's the customer's fault. You can either come to an accommodation with him where he'll finish the job, and if you want to change the color, I'm sure that will be an additional cost if you change the color or not. But you're not getting your money back from him. That's clear. So if your husband says he's a very nice guy, he still thinks he's a nice guy, and I actually agree with very bad judgment to deal with somebody who's an operations manager husband when you know he's married to somebody who may or may not be happy with white.
I interview my clients much better now.
Good. Your case is dismissed. Either talk nice to him or you're going to have to eat the $5,000. We're finished. Thank you very much. Case dismissed.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
We've been ghosted for 18 months or more than 18 months by the defendant.
I couldn't really get a straight answer of where the finish line was.
I very much would like to just get my money back and go to someone that I can trust.
I'd like to move on. Whatever needs to be done will be done.
I'd like the bar built.
I'm glad the case is resolved.
Who signed the contract with her to book the date?
My ex-husband and I both did.
Divorce kills a catered party.
You are not a signatory to the contract.
I did sign that contract.
Now this ex craves a refund.
It was only signed by your husband.
I don't have the complete contract.
Because it wasn't your contract.
There's a little bit of a story here.
I know you want to...
This is Judge Judy. Toby Petrocelli is suing caterer Nancy Veretti for the return of catering fees for a party that never happened.
Judge's case number 106 on the calendar in the matter of Petrocelli versus Veretti. Both parties have been sworn in.
Thank you, Bird. Ms. Petrocelli, I've read your complaint, and so this is a case involving a written contract.
Correct.
And the contract was for the defendant to cater an event that you were planning. You contacted her, according to your complaint, sometime in July of 2019, and your event was to take place in December.
Correct.
You didn't state what kind of an event this was in your complaint. Is there a reason for that?
It was a celebration for birthdays, retirement, and anniversary. It was a combination of events.
Okay. For the same people?
Correct.
Was it to take place at a hall or at your home?
It was to take place at a hall, at a club.
How were you referred to the defendant?
At the time, my husband had procured her information.
You got the information from your husband?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And who signed the contract with her to book the date?
We both did. My ex-husband
You
and
and
I
your
both
husband.
did. Correct.
On what date did you sign the contract? And the event was supposed to take place, according to what I've read, on December the 6th.
Correct.
And according to what I've read, you gave her an initial deposit on signing of the contract of $1,500.
That is correct.
With payments to be made periodically. Just a second, I'll get to you in a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
With payments to be made periodically until December 6th.
Correct.
On what date and in what amount was the next payment due?
So there's a little bit of a story here.
No, there's no story. This is a contract.
So,
I know you want to make it a story. This is a contract.
Okay.
You signed the contract on July 10th.
Correct.
2020. You gave her a $1,500 deposit. Is that not the date the contract was signed?
July 18th.
July 18th.
And it's signed by Mr. Petrocelli.
Put up your copy of the contract. Put up your
Mine?
copy of the contract. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yours.
I thought you were talking to Nancy. I apologize.
I got hers, and it says that your former husband signed it on July 18th, and I'd like to see the copy that you have.
Okay.
Because you say we both signed it.
I apologize. I think I only have the one that he signed. I don't have the one that has my signature on that. I will look for that.
Well,
I made the deposit to her on the 10th.
Listen to me. The date of the contract is the 18th, and it was only signed by your husband.
Okay.
Now, we'll nuance this in a second, but my next question would be, if your name was on that contract, on what date was the next payment due? Because that's how these events work. You make an initial deposit, and then you make periodic payments in order to secure the date. Now, on what date, pursuant to this contract that only your husband signed, on what date was the next payment due?
The next payment was made on...
No, I didn't ask you. No. Listen to me carefully.
I'm listening.
On what date was the payment due?
The payment?
Just tell me what date, pursuant to the contract, was the payment due?
I don't have the complete contract. Therefore, I do not know that exact date.
Well, then that's part of your problem because it wasn't your contract. On what date was the next payment due, Ms. Faharty?
This is an estimate invoice and supports the contract, and it's something
No, listen to me.
Right here.
I asked you a very simple question. I said, on what date was the next payment due?
August 6th.
August 6th. The person who signed that contract had to give you what amount of money on August 6th?
$3,500.
And when was the next payment due?
On November 6th.
And in what amount was that payment?
$3,500.
Now we're going to get to your story. So you made a $1,500. Let's say you were the person who did this contract. Then we'll get to the divorce later and whether or not this was the subject of the divorce proceeding. We'll see. I assume you have that information. On August 6th, you were to make a $3,500 additional deposit. Now, you understand that these additional deposits also, in that contract, it says the date that you're allowed to cancel. How many days prior to the event and what were the penalties for cancellation pursuant to the contract, Ms. Faharty?
It states no refunds 90 days before the date of the event, and they canceled December 19th, which is approximately 45 days.
I asked you a simple question. I don't want you to volunteer anything.
Okay.
It was a simple question, and then you'll put it up with a line on what date without forfeiting the money that had been paid so far. On what date? Was it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
90 days.
In the contract.
In the contract.
Let me see.
Okay. So
90 days.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Okay. Contract, no refunds will be given all days prior to event's original date.
Okay. And that's the contract. That's the refund policy.
Mm-hmm.
On what date did you cancel?
I canceled on Friday, October 16th, when we came back from being out of the country.
Okay. Well, that's less than 90 days. However, you made a combined deposit. You sent $8,000 according to you, or your husband sent $8,000.
I did.
Only $3,500 is forfeited because that was paid on August 6th. The other payment wasn't due until November 6th of 2020, Ms. Fajardi. And if she canceled in October, the other payment really wasn't due that she sent you. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, you're reading correctly. However, there was a change in the terms of the contract based on a request for an email.
Show me that in writing.
Right here.
Show me that in writing.
I say, hi, Toby. Refigure costs for pay in full discount for review. I figured costs to reflect what the savings would be for a pay in full discount. I showed the discount above the sales tax line, reducing the sales tax of savings too. No credit card fees for check or cash. Did review foods for discount and amounts. Take a look. I'm available to review by phone or stop by today or tomorrow. On the new estimate dated 8/5,
show me where she agreed to those terms.
When she paid the check, because here's the new estimate here. Estimate invoice has to be refigured.
No, I understand. I understand that. Listen to me, Miss Fajardi. Yes. She's not getting anything because she has no standing. She is not a signatory to the contract. She has no standing. Do you understand that, Ms. Petrocelli?
Yes.
You are not a signatory to the contract.
I did sign that contract, so I'm trying. I will locate that for you.
Listen, this is the time that we have all evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to court. You knew you were coming to court. It's been my experience of over 50 years that when there is a contract, and its contract looks like the contract she just showed to me, there are two husbands named. Now, did you have an attorney during your divorce proceedings?
Yes, I did.
Did your husband have an attorney?
Yes, he did.
Was this listed as a potential marital asset?
No, it was not.
Well, that's too bad, because if anybody is owed any money, the person who signed the contract may be owed some money. But for two smart people, when you were divorced, you certainly didn't take care of it. You have no claim to this money, Ms. Petrocelli, or any part of it.
The contract is written out in both of our names?
It may be, but you didn't sign it.
Okay.
Maybe, but you didn't sign it. And you had dealings with her. Your husband may have benefited from that, but you can't modify a contract with her that only he signed. And if the two of you at some point agreed to a discounted fee, if you would pay all cash, so it wouldn't go through a credit card because they charge points.
Correct.
And you did, in fact, do that, and you canceled before the 90 days, then you're not entitled to any money. Then your husband wouldn't be entitled to any money. Certainly you're not entitled to it because you're not a signatory to the contract. Anyway, we're done. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
One would think that as a business owner, she would do the right thing, but it is what it is.
As a small business person, it's been very, very important to stick to our...
Initially, she was very upset that we were going to have to cancel.
They're wonderful people. This was a joyous occasion, and we were all just devastated.
Said she'd get the money to me and then just kept stalling. So this is why we ended up here.
Boy, if she wants a party, she's still got one with me.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bennett versus Robinson. Step forward.
Giselle Bennett is suing her neighbor, Shannon Robinson, for crashing his car into a retaining wall on her property.
Miss Bennett, you're sleeping.
Yes.
It's August 18th.
Yes.
2012.
Yes.
And you hear a commotion.
Yes.
Wakes you up.
Yeah.
Turns out this commotion is a result of the defendant's car wrapping itself around your garden and the wall of your garden.
Right.
And you want the defendant to pay for the damage.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Oh, Mr. Robinson, what am I going to do with you, sir? Let me just refresh your recollection as to what you swore to in your answer.
Giselle Bennett claims her neighbor, Shannon Robinson, crashed. Shannon says he has no idea what happened.
So, what kind of car do we have?
96 Chevrolet Caprice.
And on August 18th, where were you and where was your car?
Well, from my knowledge, the last time I remember my car being in my driveway, parked on a...
Just a second. The last you remember your car, Mr. Robinson, it was on your driveway.
Yes.
And that was when?
August 18th, 17th, the day prior to the incident.
So I want to understand this. You had parked your car on your driveway the night before this happened, and that's the last you knew of it.
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Robinson, what am I going to do with you, sir? Let me just refresh your recollection as to what you swore to in your answer. You said, I did park my car in front of plaintiff's home on the evening of August 18th because I was having people over and wanted my guests to park in my driveway. You remember writing that?
Yes.
Well, that's a little different from what you just told me. See, what you just told me, which I repeated to you twice, was that your car was in your driveway, where you parked it. You're the registered owner of that car, correct?
Yes, I am.
And in what city and state do you reside?
Atlanta, Georgia.
That require cars to have insurance.
Yes.
Not necessarily collision insurance, but it requires you to have liability insurance in case you do damage to someone else's property or person.
Yes.
So if your car, I don't care who's driving the car, if your car causes damage to the plaintiff's property, because you don't deny that her property was damaged.
Yes.
You deny you're responsible.
Exactly.
So if your car was insured, the insurance would have paid for the damage to her property.
Yes.
But your car was not
insured.
Insured. Yeah. And according to you, in either version of the story, either the one you told me or the one you swore to in your answer, you drove the car. Because the story you told me before, you drove the car and parked it in your driveway. The story that you wrote to me in the answer was you drove the car and parked it in front of her house because you wanted your guests to be able to park in your driveway. Either way, you drove an uninsured car. Why did you do that?
I mean, Your Honor, I know it's silly and basically against the law, but I just moved it because we're neighbors.
I know your neighbors.
We're neighbors. I moved it a couple of feet.
You turned it on, right? You turned it on.
Yes.
Now I want you that one of these versions maybe is true. Was the car parked in front of her house or in your driveway?
In front of her house on the street, yes.
And you did that because?
So that I have room for my guests to park and be able to get out when they left my house.
When you parked the car in front of her house, did you leave the keys in the car?
No, ma'am.
Now, the car ended up not in front of her house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He knows he has to pay for it. He wouldn't even argue with me that he doesn't have to pay for it. Isn't that right, Mr. Robinson?
I feel like I don't have to pay for it because I...
Oh, you don't want to go there, Mr. Robinson?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Giselle Bennett claims her neighbor, Shannon Robinson, crashed his car into a retaining wall on her property. Shannon says he has no idea what happened.
Now, can I see pictures of where the car ended up? You can see from there, right?
Yes.
Did you see who got out of the car?
No, ma'am.
Well, that's a lot of damage, Mr. Robinson, that would have been taken. Answer my question that I asked you a little while ago. Why didn't you have insurance?
I believe my insurance had got canceled 2 days before or the day of the party.
Why?
Non-payment.
Well, they don't cancel it without putting you on notice. So they send you a letter The letter says if you don't pay, you're not going to have insurance.
Yes.
And you just ignore that. Now, do you work, Mr. Robinson?
As of now, I do.
No. Then. On August, listen to me very carefully. August 18th, 2012, were you working?
No, ma'am.
In whose house were you living?
My mother's.
What were you doing in August of 2012?
Looking for work.
You looking for work?
Applying online, going to job career centers, job fairs.
And how would you get there? Got where I'm going?
Yeah.
You have an estimate to fix this damage. I think I've got Mr. Robinson. He's got me. He's not a bad guy. You know, he didn't murder anybody. He had a party. Somebody got loaded and caused damage. He has to pay for it. He knows he has to pay for it. He wouldn't even argue with me that he doesn't have to pay for it. Isn't that right, Mr. Robinson?
I feel like I don't have to pay for it because I.
Oh, you don't want to go there, Mr. Robinson? That if you had a car that had insurance, your insurance company would have paid for it because it would have been your responsibility.
But then that'd be a case of me not having insurance. We're dealing with the car being in her yard.
You think it flew into her yard?
I didn't do it, man.
It flew?
I didn't do it. When I woke up, on it, my knowledge of...
You don't have to do it. You're responsible for it. It's your car.
So if somebody crashed my car, I'm responsible to pay for that?
Absolutely. That's what you have insurance for.
Yeah, I have a letter from his insurance company that said his policy was canceled on July 22nd.
Well, that's not the day before. That's not a day before. That would be a month before.
I got that letter. I got that letter 2 days before saying that my insurance...
Oh, well, maybe you were too busy to open your mail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Do you have an estimate or a bill to fix the damage? You did fix it, did you not?
Yes.
Okay.
One of those pictures shows it being fixed. These are the estimates that I got. One was $50.
That's a bargain. My goodness, Mr. Robinson, you should go over and give her a big hug and a kiss. She got the best possible price for you, $350. Why didn't you give her money for it? You working now?
Yes, I'm working now. I didn't know anything about a civil suit against me until a week ago.
Well, now you know.
They moved out of the neighborhood.
Now you know.
They moved out of the neighborhood. I had no contact with them. I seen the wall was fixed, but I had no contact with them.
We still live in the neighborhood.
But not in the same house?
Yeah, we still live in the
same house.
I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him.
You haven't seen him?
No, ma'am.
Well, you must be busy working.
Yes, ma'am.
$350, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy. An old RV needed some TLC.
The body itself has not lasted.
Nobody's body lasts. Not yours, certainly not mine.